Stop scrolling. Nike just did something with Caitlin Clark that should not be possible. And it might explain why everybody suddenly feels late to the party. Because the commercial isn't just a cool ad. It's a warning shot to the entire WNBA world. The shoe era is coming, the money is coming. And the pressure is about to hit every player, every brand, and even the league itself. Here's the wild part. For months, fans kept asking the same question. Where are the signature shoes? Why does it feel like the biggest star in women's basketball is selling out arenas, moving TV numbers, and still we're stuck waiting? Then Nike drops this from anywhere spot and instantly flips the mood from impatient to panicked. Not because it's flashy, because it's strategic. Think about it. They didn't roll this out like a normal athlete campaign. They built it like a cultural moment. Cameos, comedy, that no way she hits this energy. And every single second is designed to make you feel the same thing. Caitlin is inevitable. But that's where the tension kicks in. If the reports are true and the signature shoe isn't expected until spring 2026, what exactly are we watching right now? A teaser? A test? A message to other brands that Nike's not letting her slip? And if you're a WNBA fan, you know what that timeline collides with the league's next major money conversations. Salaries, revenue splits, a new CBA. And suddenly, this isn't just about sneakers. It's about leverage. So in this video, we're going frame by frame through the commercial, the celebrity choices, and the hidden little flexes Nike packed into it. Why Travis Kelce? Why Travis Scott? Why bring in an Iowa connection that hits the nostalgia button so hard it almost feels unfair? And more importantly, why now? Because here's what most people missed. The ad isn't selling a shoe you can buy today. It's selling a future you're going to chase. That's why it feels like a trailer to a movie that already has fans lining up outside the theater. And yes, those promo packs going out to influencers, that's not random either. That's Nike planting a seed. If you're not talking about Caitlin's line, you're behind. So before we even watch the first clip, I want you to lock in on one question. Are we watching the beginning of the biggest signature shoe run the WNBA has ever seen, or the moment the league realizes it has to catch up fast? Because I noticed one detail in the commercial that changes how you read the entire rollout. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Also keep an eye on who doubts are in the spot and who quietly believes. Nike picked those faces for a reason. Drop your prediction in the comments. Do these shoes sell out in minutes or break records? Either way, we can't ignore this. Let's pull it up, and I'll show you exactly where the real story starts. Here's the first thing that hits you. The ad is built like a dare. Not a highlight reel, a dare. They start with distance, then they push it farther, then farther again. And every time you're thinking, okay, this is where she misses, the next voice pops up and raises the stakes. Why does that matter? Because that's exactly how the WNBA conversation around Caitlin has felt all year. Every game becomes a new from there moment. Every road arena gets louder. Every defender gets a little more physical. And the camera always cuts to the same reaction. Disbelief turning into acceptance. But Nike didn't just capture that. They packaged it. Now look at the casting. You've got NFL royalty energy, pop culture energy, comedy energy, and then one quiet emotional anchor, the Iowa connection. That's not random. Nike is bridging three audiences at once. Hardcore hoop heads, casual sports fans, and people who don't watch the WNBA yet, but will if the story feels bigger than basketball. And it does. Here's the sneaky part. The people in the commercial aren't just stars. They're validators. When someone like Travis Kelce shows up, the subtext is, this matters in the mainstream. When a rap superstar shows up, the subtext is, this is style, not just sport. When a coach from her past appears, the subtext is, this is legacy. And when all of them doubt her shot, that's the hook. Doubt sells the make. So Nike keeps you in this loop. Doubt attempts silence, swish. Then they repeat it until your brain starts expecting miracles. And the moment you start expecting miracles, you're ready to buy the shoe that promises them. But then the timeline punches you in the mouth. If her first true signature shoe is being talked about for spring 2026, what are they selling right now? A vibe, a slogan, a myth. From anywhere isn't a tagline, it's a resume line. It's Nike telling every kid in a driveway, every high school guard, every WNBA rookie. This is what the future position looks like. And that's where the league pressure creeps in. Because the WNBA isn't just competing with other leagues. It's competing with the speed of culture. If the brand machine can move faster than the league's business structure, the tension shows up in the same place every season. Pay, travel, resources, respect. You can feel it building behind the smiles. So when you see those promo packs landing with influencers, don't just see free gifts. See a countdown clock. Nike is creating scarcity before the product even exists. And scarcity turns curiosity into obsession. And fans can feel that shift in real time. One clip drops, and suddenly group chats are arguing about release dates, colorways, and whether they'll have to camp out. That's the point. Nike wants the demand to become a storyline of its own. Because once the hunt starts, the shoe wins before it's even on shelves. And the WNBA feels it. In part 3, I'm going to show you the one frame that makes this whole rollout feel like a chess move, and it points directly at what Nike wants next. Freeze the commercial when everybody thinks the bit is over. That's the frame Nike is selling. It's not Caitlin's jumper. It's the space around it. Notice how the camera treats distance like a character. The driveway, the street, the from the other house range. Each step back is a challenge, but it's also a metaphor. The WNBA is stepping back into a bigger spotlight, and the rim suddenly looks smaller to the audience. Now here's the chess move. Nike didn't open with jerseys, trophies, or a welcome to the league moment. They opened with a question. Can she do the impossible again? That instantly resets the conversation from rookie hype to legend behavior. And in sports marketing, that jump is everything. Because legends don't need a calendar. Legends create deadlines. So when you hear spring 2026, it sounds slow on paper. But in Nike language, that's not delay. That's runway. That's 2 full seasons to let the phrase Caitlin's shoe live in people's mouths until it feels inevitable. By the time the first pair drops, the public won't be asking if they want it. They'll be asking which color they missed. And those celebrity cameos, they're more than clout. They're segmentation. NFL fans see Kelce and feel invited. Hip-hop fans see Travis and feel culture stamp. Comedy fans see the jokes and feel safe joining without knowing box scores. Then WNBA fans see the Iowa thread and feel protective. Different doors, same house. Nike built a funnel. But the frame I'm talking about is the moment someone says, basically, no chance. That line is the whole campaign. Nike is manufacturing doubt because doubt makes the swish louder. And in the WNBA, where every great player gets measured, doubted, and compared, that's gasoline. Now it gets uncomfortable. If Nike is already building Caitlin into a once-in-a-generation signature athlete, what does that do to everyone else? Not just other rookies, other stars, other signature hopefuls, other brands trying to land the next face of women's hoops. You can already feel the tension online. People arguing like it's a playoff series. She's changing the game. No, the league built her. She gets too much coverage. She earned it. And while fans fight, the business machine keeps spinning. That's why this ad lands like a thunderclap right before storm. The WNBA is heading into financial negotiations, and visibility is power. A signature shoe is power. Selling out arenas is power. The question is who gets to cash in, and how fast the league can evolve without cracking. So when Nike sends out those from anywhere promo packs, it's not just hype. It's a signal to the market. We're committing. And once Nike commits, the ecosystem reacts. Retailers, media, sponsors, even opponents. Next, I'm going to break down the most controversial part. Why a 2026 shoe date might actually be the smartest, most ruthless play Nike could make. And how it sets up a moment in 2025 that nobody is talking about yet. That spring 2026 date is the part that makes people furious. And it's also the part that makes Nike look the most dangerous. Because you're thinking like a fan. Nike is thinking like a studio releasing a blockbuster. If the shoe drops tomorrow, you get a weekend of chaos, a few sellout headlines. Then the internet moves on to the next thing. But if the shoe is positioned out in front, far enough that people can obsess, speculate, argue, and count down, then the shoe becomes a season-long storyline. And storylines are what keep casuals watching the WNBA when it's not their usual habit. Here's the uncomfortable truth. A signature shoe is not just footwear. It's a measurement. It measures how much the public cares. It measures how much kids want to copy your game. It measures what retailers are willing to bet on. It measures what the league can monetize. So delaying the main event shoot can actually increase the final explosion if Nike keeps feeding the fire. And that's exactly what this commercial is, the first log on the fire. Watch how the ad doesn't show you everything. It gives you just enough, a vibe, a phrase, a sense of inevitability. Then it pulls away. That creates hunger. And hunger is a marketing superpower. But there's another reason the 2026 date might be strategic, and it's pure WNBA politics. The league is in a moment where visibility is rising faster than the infrastructure around it. Fans are louder. Arenas are fuller. Sponsors are circling. Players are more visible than ever. And when that happens, the tension always comes next. Okay, who's getting paid? And who's getting left behind? Now imagine Nike drops the shoe in 2026, but spends 2025 turning Caitlin's brand into something bigger than a rookie storyline. That would mean 2025 becomes the proof year, not the year of the product, the year of the inevitability. That's when you'll see the real chess pieces move. Again, if Nike follows the pattern they usually do with signature athletes. More teasers, more limited drops, more from anywhere moments baked into broadcasts, tunnels, warm-ups, and social clips. And every time you think, all right, that's peak hype, they'll add one more spark. But here's the twist that should make every WNBA fan sit up. A long runway also gives Nike time to read the room. If Caitlin's on-court story in 2025 takes a dramatic turn, playoff push, rivalry ignites, major milestone, big-time postseason moment, Nike can shape the shoe launch narrative around that emotion. They can time colorways around moments. They can align the drop with the loudest chapter. And if 2025 gets messy, injuries, backlash, fatigue, media overload, Nike can adjust the messaging without having already committed the entire shoe line to one version of the story. That's why the 2026 date isn't automatically late. It might be calculated. So the real question becomes, what exactly is Nike planning to do in 2025 to keep the world locked in, while the WNBA itself is trying to keep pace? Because there's one specific clue in the commercial's casting that hints at what Nike wants Caitlin to become next. And if I'm reading it right, it's bigger than basketball. Look closely at the faces in that commercial. Because Nike is telling you what Caitlin Clark is to them before the shoe even exists. They did not surround her with WNBA players. It is strategy. And the second you notice it, the whole rollout feels different. In WNBA culture, respect usually comes from peers, from vets who have been in the battles, in the playoffs. So when Nike goes outside the league for the biggest reactions, it creates controversy on purpose. Why is the loudest validation coming from outside? And why does it work so well? Because Nike is selling translation. Kelce is there to translate her to football fans who tune in for the Super Bowl. Travis Scott is there to translate her to people who do not know pick and roll, but know what a sneaker drop feels like. Michael Che is there to translate her to the casuals who need a laugh before they commit. Then Lisa Blooder shows up, and suddenly the whole thing is roots. That mix is a bridge, and bridges always lead somewhere. And the destination is not a court, it is a marketplace. Here is the tension. If Caitlin becomes a crossover icon first, the WNBA has to decide how to hold on to her without making the rest of the league feel like background noise. That is the balancing act every rising league faces. Spotlight one star and you risk resentment. Spread the spotlight, and you risk losing the mainstream momentum. Either choice has a cost. Now, add the from anywhere concept. On the court, it is a shot. Off the court, it is a permission slip. It tells a kid in Indiana, a kid in Los Angeles, a kid overseas, you can join the story from anywhere. That is how global brands think. And when a global brand starts thinking globally about a WNBA player, the stakes for the league get louder. Why are players still talking about charter travel? Why do arenas vary so wildly? Why do some games feel like events and others feel hidden? Fans see the commercial. Then they look at the league, and the contrast creates pressure. That pressure is not Caitlin's fault, but it will follow her. And that is where Nike's timing gets sharp. Our runway to spring 2026 gives them time to keep her culture adjacent while the league negotiates. Every teaser becomes a reminder. The value is rising. Every viral clip becomes a bargaining chip. So when people say, Nike took too long, I hear something else. Nike waited until the moment the ecosystem would have to react. Next, we need to talk about the promo packs. Not the box itself, the message inside it. Because one line on that packaging tells you exactly how Nike wants fans to behave. And it is going to make the eventual release feel like a holiday and a heist at the same time. If you think those promo packs were just cute PR, you're already losing the game. Because Nike didn't send out a box. They sent out instructions. On the outside, it's clean, simple, almost playful, from anywhere. But then you see the line people keep reposting. Don't open me till Christmas. And suddenly it's not merch. It's a ritual. Nike is turning a shoe rollout into an event you're supposed to wait for, talk about, and film yourself experiencing. That's how sneaker culture gets built. Anticipation first, product second. And notice who receives these packs. It's not only reporters. It's personalities, creators. The kind of accounts that can turn one unboxing into 10 million views and 100, or can I get it, comments. In WNBA terms, that's like giving someone courtside seats and a microphone. The box is the access. Now here's the psychological trick. When you tell someone not to open something, you trigger the exact emotion that sells out drops. Controlled impatience. People don't just want the shoe. They want to be part of the moment the world sees it. So while fans argue online, why 2026? Nike is quietly training everyone to do three things. 1. Watch for clues. 2. Share every clue. 3. Panic buy the second the clue becomes the link. And that's where the conflict gets ugly. Because the WNBA has a fan base that's hungry, loyal, and finally growing fast. And sneaker culture has resellers who treat passion like prey. The bigger Caitlin's line gets, the more the release becomes a battle. Actual fans versus bots. Kids versus checkout queues. From anywhere versus sold out everywhere. Nike knows this, and the league will feel it too. When the most visible WNBA athlete drops a signature shoe, the success won't just be measured by units sold. It'll be measured by who gets left out. If the first drop becomes a reseller festival, the internet won't blame the resellers. They'll blame Nike. They'll blame the league. They'll blame Caitlin. That's the risk of being the face. So why tease promo packs now? Because Nike is stress testing demand. They're watching which posts blow up, which phrases stick, which audiences show up. They're learning what WNBA hype looks like when it collides with sneaker hype. And that data will shape everything. Price, quantity, colorways, even where the first public appearance happens. And there's one more detail people missed. The pack isn't just for fans. It's a signal to other athletes. A message that says, this is how big we can make you if the timing is right. In Part 7, we're going to follow the money trail. What a Caitlin Clark signature line could mean for WNBA salaries, endorsements, and the next wave of stars, and why the league can't afford to fumble this moment. And if you think this is only about Caitlin, watch what happens when other stars demand the same spotlight. One signature deal can reset the entire market. The next domino is already wobbling inside the WNBA today. Here's the money question nobody wants to say out loud. What happens to the WNBA when one player's shoe becomes bigger than the league's paycheck structure? Because a signature line isn't just a cool product. It's a private economy. It's royalties, marketing budgets, global distribution, appearances, colorways, collabs. And when that machine turns on, everybody starts comparing what the league pays versus what the market is clearly willing to spend. Then the tension shows up fast. Now zoom out for a second. Nike doesn't hand out signature shoes like participation trophies. A signature shoe is a long bet, and Nike already has WNBA signature history in motion right now. Sabrina Ionescu has an established Nike signature line, and it's become one of the most visible WNBA to sneaker bridges in recent years. That matters because it proves something. This isn't theoretical anymore. It's a real lane. And Caitlin stepping into that lane changes the traffic for everyone else. Suddenly. So when Caitlin Clark goes viral off a commercial, it's not just another trending clip. It's a signal to every brand watching women's basketball. The audience is ready to buy. The only question is who gets there first and who gets left behind. Here's where it gets spicy for the league. If Caitlin's expected signature shoe is positioned for 2026, that runway overlaps with a period when the WNBA and players are expected to be thinking hard about the next labor and revenue structure. The current WNBA CBA was signed in 2020 and runs for multiple years, with widely reported opt-out mechanisms that can trigger renegotiation conversations. When star power rises, those conversations get louder. And when money rises, patience gets shorter. And that creates a weird, emotional imbalance. Fans see sold-out arenas and viral ads. Then look at headlines about players pushing for better conditions and compensation. They ask, how can both be true? That question doesn't go away on its own. It only gets sharper when a signature shoe drops and the world watches people fight online for a pair. Then what? Now think about the other WNBA stars watching this rollout. They're not mad at Caitlin. They're watching what Nike is willing to do when it fully commits to a narrative. And if Nike can turn a from anywhere joke into a cultural moment, what does that mean for the next MVP? The next champion? The next personality with a fan base? You can feel the dominoes. You just can't see where they'll land yet, because the league is walking a tightrope. Spotlight fuels growth, but uneven spotlight fuels resentment. And resentment is poison in a locker room culture built on respect. So here's the real payoff Nike is chasing. If Caitlin's signature era hits at full blast, it won't just sell shoes. It will train the mainstream to treat WNBA stars like signature athletes as a category. That's the holy grail. But there's one risk that could blow it up. What if the commercial's viral moment becomes the spark for a new face of the league war, and the pushback gets louder than the praise? Because the next part is where it turns personal. The backlash doesn't start with a foul. It starts with a comment section. One viral Nike clip drops, and suddenly the WNBA conversation splits into two loud lanes. She's the future, and she's being forced on us. That second lane is the dangerous one, because it doesn't attack the jumper. It attacks the attention. And Nike knows that. That's why the commercial is built like a playful argument. Everyone keeps saying no chance, and Caitlin keeps proving them wrong. It turns doubt into comedy, then comedy into belief. But outside the ad, doubt isn't always funny. Sometimes it hardens into a narrative. Coverage is unfair, praise is too loud, other stars are ignored. Here's a trap. Once that narrative catches, Caitlin becomes a symbol people fight over instead of a player people watch. And symbols get blamed for things they didn't create. So the league faces a brutal question. How do you ride the wave without letting it drown the rest of the roster? Because the WNBA isn't a one-player product. It's rivalries, styles, cities, personalities, champions. It's veterans who built the league when cameras weren't there. It's stars who already have hardware and highlight reels. If the mainstream only learns one name, growth becomes fragile. One slump, one injury, one controversy, and casual fans disappear. Nike's job is different. Nike can bet on one face and still win. The WNBA has to build a house, not a billboard. Now watch what happens next in the culture cycle. First comes the viral ad. Then come the debates. Then come the comparison clips, the hot takes, the faux outrage. And right after that, the most predictable moment of all. The first time Caitlin has a rough night on national TV. The internet treats it like a referendum. That's when the real pressure hits. Not pressure to make shots. Pressure to justify attention. And that's the part casual fans don't see. A superstar in the WNBA doesn't just carry a team. She carries expectations, history, resentment, and a marketing plan that can't miss. So if Nike is building a 2026 signature shoe climax, they need the story to survive 2025. They need her to stay must-watch even when she's human. They need the public to stay invested when the shots rim out. That's why From Anywhere matters. It's not only about makes. It's about audacity. It's about taking a shot anyway. But here's the twist. The biggest threat to this rollout isn't a defender. It's fatigue. If every week becomes Caitlin this, Caitlin that, people who love the WNBA for its depth will push back harder. And the louder the pushback gets, the more media doubles down because conflict sells. So the question becomes, can Nike and the league turn the spotlight into a bridge instead of a wedge? Because the next move decides everything. And it's already starting to show in the way opponents play her. And that game is brutal. The moment Nike turns you into a myth, the league responds. And so do defenders. In the WNBA, the scouting report doesn't say guard Caitlin Clark. It says deny oxygen. Pick her up early. Bump her off routes. Force her to give it up before she even sees the rim. And when she does get a sliver of daylight, the help is already sliding, like the paint has magnets. That's respect. But it's also a question. Can the viral version survive the grind version? Because Nike can cut to the swish. The WNBA makes you live in the miss. That's why From Anywhere hits different in this league. From anywhere, when your legs are cooked. From anywhere, when the crowd is loud because they want you to fail. From anywhere, when the defender is daring the refs to call it. Those aren't just shots. Those are decisions. And every decision becomes a headline. Here's a trap fans don't notice at first. If she shoots and misses, it's forced. If she passes, it's scared. If she drops 30, it's bad defense. If she struggles, it's overhyped. There is no quiet game when the spotlight is this bright. So the commercial isn't only selling shoes, it's selling armor. That's why the camera loves the deepest shot. It's a shortcut to awe. But the real suspense is simpler. What happens the night the shot isn't there? What does she become then for everyone? And the opponents know it. They want a clip, not just a stop. The moment, the shoulder bump that makes her complain. The possession where she hesitates. The facial expression that turns into a meme. Because in 2025 WNBA culture, a single clip can outrun an entire box score. Scoring is one battle. Controlling the narrative is another. But that pressure creates something the league can actually use. Rivalries. Every arena wants to be the loudest prove-it stage. Every defender wants to be the one who figured her out. Every team wants a signature win that people replay all week. And the more people argue about it, the more the WNBA becomes appointment viewing. Messy growth? Yes. Real growth? Absolutely. Now here's where Nike gets ruthless again. If the next teaser leans into comedy, it keeps things light. But if the next teaser leans into contact, sweat, bruises, that gritty sound of sneakers squeaking and bodies hitting the floor, then Nike isn't just chasing casual fans. They're recruiting respect from the diehards. And that forces the league onto a tightrope. You can't soften the product to protect the star. The physicality is part of the identity. But you also can't let the moment turn into a weekly war that risks injury and turns the fan base toxic. So the next question isn't, when do the shoes drop? The next question is, what does Nike want Caitlin's story to feel like when they finally do? Because one line in this campaign hints at the first drop strategy. And once you connect it, you'll see the ending coming. Here's the final twist. Nike didn't make this commercial to announce a shoe. They made it to announce a standard. From the first no way to the last clean swish, the message is the same. Caitlin Clark is no longer being introduced to the WNBA. The WNBA is being reintroduced through her. And that's why the title of this moment feels so loud. Caitlin Clark Viral New Commercial. Official Nike shoes finally coming out. Because the commercial is the proof, and the shoe is the payoff. But pay attention to what Nike is really selling. Not leather, not rubber. Belief. The belief that a women's basketball player can sit at the same table as the biggest signature athletes on earth. And once fans believe that, they start demanding the rest of the system match it. That's where the league-wide tension becomes opportunity. If the WNBA gets its business moves right, better player investment, smarter scheduling, louder storytelling, this shoe era won't just crown one star. It will lift the whole ecosystem. New fans come for Caitlin, then stay for IRS dominance, for Brianna's finesse, for Sabrina's shot-making, for the rivalries that turn random nights into must-watch TV. That's how a league becomes a habit. So what should you do right now as a fan? Track the breadcrumbs. Every From Anywhere post, every promo pack, every tunnel fit, every limited release that looks like it's not the signature shoe yet. Because Nike rarely goes silent when they're building a monster. And if you're wondering why spring 2026 matters, here's the simplest way to see it. It gives Nike 2 full seasons to let one question infect the culture. Did you get yours? Before a single pair hits shelves. That's the game. Also, notice how Nike framed her as calm while everyone else is loud. That's branding. The world spins, she stays centered. Expect that to show up on the first colorway stories. Home, road, and a throwback to her college run. And watch the WNBA calendar. Opening week, All-Star, playoff time. Those are the stages where a mystery pair on her feet could leak the silhouette. If you see a blurred close-up photo, that's not an accident. It's the rollout breathing in. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think this rollout is perfectly timed? Or did Nike waste a year of momentum? Do you think the WNBA is ready for the sneaker hype machine? Or are we about to watch fans get priced out and frustrated? And be real. If these drop and you miss, are you paying resale? Because the next chapter is coming whether anyone's ready or not. The commercial went viral. The celebrities co-signed. The phrase "from anywhere" is already stuck in people's heads. All that's left is the moment Nike finally shows the shoe, and the moment the whole WNBA economy has to respond. So keep your notifications on, because the next teaser won't feel like an ad. It'll feel like a countdown.